Hey guys, Adrian Flash here, and welcome back to a brand new video. As you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, kind of a different video. I mean, I feel like every video I do is like completely different, but whatever, we're doing it. I swear almost every single video, like the past two videos were Demon Slayer, and now we're doing this. At least the time I'm recording this, this is what this is looking like. I don't know when I'm releasing this video, but that's the current state of my channel right now. So anyway, I don't know why I said that. Look, I got another tattoo. Isn't that sick? It's a Radiohead tattoo, and just like this video, this is about Radiohead. I've been wanting to make a Radiohead video, and since they started talking about doing this Kid A exhibition? How do you say the word? The little art museum thing. I've been really interested in wanting to make a video on this like game or whatever you want to call it, museum, whatever. And my ideas at first were just like sitting down, recording the video, like kind of like make a reaction. And I ended up not doing that just because that wouldn't make sense for the video. I barely had a reaction while I was recording. Basically what I'm trying to say is this isn't a game, it's more like a museum. I just thought this was really cool. I like the way that they did this. I'm just gonna call it a game. It's not a game, but I'm calling it a game for right now, just so it makes sense, just so I have a word to say. Before I keep going on, can we like the video? That would be sick. Can we do that? You don't have to if you don't want to. They got rid of the dislike button, so at this point I don't even care what the fuck happens with my likes. You won't know if anyone hates the video. At this point it's irrelevant and it doesn't matter, but still leave a like just because it helps anyway. So yeah, that's it. That's all I want you to do. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new, dude. Subscribe if you're new. Just subscribe if you're new. I'm very excited to make this video. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, so just leave a like, subscribe. Anyway, without further ado, Radiohead video begins, starting right now. Whenever you open the game, does all the loading screen, does Epic Games, all that shit. But once you actually start the game, you're in like this forest, I guess, which I thought was really cool. And you're like literally in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know where you are. The art piece that I think it's referencing is like one of the tree pieces. I'll throw it up on the screen just so that you get like an idea. But it kind of reminds me of like one of those. And you can like explore around still. Some of the trees are barricading ways for you to get in. You're greeted kind of like with this little door. It kind of almost looks like a bunker kind of. And as you open the door, it starts playing everything in its right place, and which was really cool. As you're entering the door and you're going up the stairs, basically I'm just gonna read what it says word for word. There are doors and doors, and there are trap doors. There are doors that open by themselves. There are sliding doors and secret doors. There are doors that let you in and out but never open, and there are trap doors that you can't come back from. And then it shows the whole thing, and it basically says this isn't a game and to take your time, which if you plan on playing it, if you haven't played it yet, or you're playing right now, I guess, take your time. It's a museum. You're appreciating the art and the music, and it's just a really good experience. So just take your time. You're kind of in like, it's almost like there's not TV screens around you. You're following this path. Like you're still walking. You're entered with a bunch of art just like completely all around you. It's just kind of sliding up and down. It's going everywhere. It's going really fast. Sometimes it's going really slow. Some of it you can't even really make out. It's like kind of blurry. You can't really tell what's going on. You also see like people walking. I don't really know what they are, but they're like little like stick figures that are like 3D walking around. And as you play the game, you see some of them doing whatever they're doing. Some of them have a face and some of them don't, and then I think some of them like talk, and you see some of them working. I don't really think you can interact with them. I think they kind of look at you and that's about it. After you get out of that little art sliding everywhere and colors and stuff, it gets like super dark. It's just super dim and dark and honestly kind of scary. Like it looks like you're in a horror movie or whatever. But yeah, as you get out of the door, there's like this red light and it's still really dark. So there's art on the wall as you're looking around. A lot of the art that you see in the illustrations like that are kind of like just repeated everywhere across the wall. So you're like going through this path with like this really dim red light and it's really dark, and you see a bunch of like this art everywhere with like some of like the minotaurs, some of the bears. There's actually one, like at least for me, I don't know if it's different for anyone else, but there was two stick figures just kind of like beating each other up for a minute. Whenever you look behind you, you see the door that you just came out of, but behind you there's more art across that wall, and you can't really go on top of the little ledges that are there, but there's art everywhere. So I had to like go back can like look at everything and like see everything, because they were just more like in bigger illustrations, just like across the wall, sentences and words, random shit everywhere, which I thought was really cool. There was also one illustration that was there, which is probably one of my favorite ones, where it's the bears, and I guess it's kind of like the song Hunting Bears. It's kind of like that. That's across the wall with like a bunch of the bears, and then it's called Death or something. I think that's what they call it, and it has like the scythe, and it looks like it's about to kill the bears, so that's why I say it's like hunting bears. But yeah, that was really cool. You're like greeted by like this bright song with a bunch of like flashing colors, and then as soon as you get into the actual museum, it's like completely dark, super dim, super like creepy and weird. As you're on that path, you can keep going. There's this giant fucking pyramid like right in the center of the museum. The map is weird. Like, here, let me look at the map. It does not make any sense, at least for me. And plus, whenever you do the interactive map thing, which I did end up doing, it just kind of like leads you to like merch that they're dropping for this. It doesn't actually explain where you are. Where am I right now? You can't actually like see where you are when you're on the website, which would kind of help. Like, there's a QR code, and then it brings you to the map. You get all these names, but you don't know where you are. I guess you kind of have to figure it out. And there are words on the walls in the game that kind of help you, guide you to where exactly you are. And if you have the map up, it does help. But with the QR code, it would have been kind of nice to just see the checkpoint at where you are. Regardless, anyway, you kind of just see all of the doors, or all of like the openings where you can kind of go into different parts of the museum. So like, I think there were like 2 on the left and right hand side of the pyramid, and then below you there's 4-ish, 5-ish different spots. Some of the spots end up leading you back to another part of the museum. How do I explain this? Part of the museum will lead back to another at some point, or to a certain point. It just kind of makes sense whenever you play the thing. If I'm looking at the map correctly, the first actual spot of the museum that I go to is downbrow. I think that's how you say it. So before you actually like see exactly where you are, it's almost like a projection of more art across the walls, and kind of almost on the floor a little bit. Like, some of it's kind of reflective, and there's notes everywhere, there's art everywhere, and you're going down a little ramp. It's not even stairs, it's just a ramp. And so as you go down there, I think one of the very first things that I do is I find the cinema. You walk in, and it's like super weird, dude. You have to go up these stairs, you open the door, and one of the minotaurs is watching, I think it's like the national anthem that was playing, God. And there's a chair next to the minotaur where I guess you can sit. You're watching live videos or live performances, or just like music with like some of the blips that they've posted at the cinema, which is pretty cool. As you're looking at the minotaur, like, it'll look at you. I wasn't in there too long, but I thought it was really cool. So you exit out of there. What I was actually supposed to do, I guess, was go across the room, and whenever you enter, there are words to your right hand side, and you have to follow the words, and the words kind of spell out different parts of songs. So like, there's one song that's from, I think, from like You and Who's Army and Idiotech, and like all of the different lyrics. I was doing that for like a while. I don't even know if I finished it, but I did it. Right after that, by that opening that you first walk into, on your left hand side, there's these woods, and it's almost like I guess you could say like a burrow, but it's like a little like hole, and you walk in the hole, and you're like in the middle, like this underground little area that's basically under the woods. There's little minotaurs kind of walking around on the ground. The ground is like completely white. It's almost like you're floating. You can see, like, I think some of the roots from the trees under the ground. It leads you right out to where you started, and you can go back down in that little like hole that you're in, I guess. I really like the woods in this game. The tree stuff is really cool, at least in my opinion. Whenever I was little, I used to draw trees like all the time, so it's kind of cool to like see the forest and the trees and the woods and all that kind of stuff. Almost half of my first recording of the game, I was downstairs doing the lyric stuff, so that's how long that took me to do. The next part that I went to was on the left hand side of the first ramps you go down. I went down to the ghost chamber, and you're in there, and you're kind of floating. It almost looks like you're falling, or you're going up, or you're just floating, because the illustration, or like the little art that's going up and down, I'm pretty sure it's just like that cover art for Kid A, and it's kind of going up and down. There's, I guess you can say, ghosts, and it's playing one of the songs, and you can like look at the ghost going up, and they'll look back at you. It's like super weird, and they're like floating. The way they did that was so sick. Again, I don't really think you're in there for that long, but it's really cool to like kind of see the art kind of go up and down, and like just see like the interaction that you have with the ghost going up. So the next part you're going to the televisions. And again, it looks like there's a projection of some of the art on the wall. It kind of gets a little bit dark sometimes, depending on like what's projecting on the wall. There's more of those people just like everywhere, kind of like working, or like some of them are sitting. It looks like they're talking to each other. There's stairs and you go up. There's a giant fucking stick figure just kind of like sitting there. But yeah, so you go up those stairs. You're in another like hallway, and this hallway is like a lot smaller. It's more condensed, I guess. It's almost like night vision is what's being put on the walls. You have more of the figure just kind of like walking back and forth, and you can hear like talking. There's a lot going on there. This doesn't last too long. You're kind of just walking through it. It's nothing that crazy. It's just really weird. And so the next room, this next choice that you have is, one room is for the national anthem, which has a bunch of TVs in it, and then the other room is the paper chamber. And the first room that you go in there is like a giant room with like a bunch of like the minotaurs and like these little tubes, and a bunch of like minotaurs also on the ground, kind of just like looking at it. And that's where you go into the paper chamber. That's where you see like a bunch of the artwork. In the paper chamber, you're standing on like paper. There's paper on the walls. You're in there for a little bit, and you can kind of, you know, obviously hear the music. It just kind of like goes away. There's like a wave of it, and it kind of just goes away, and then it'll come back. Around you, there will be like different illustrations and artwork, songs and lyrics, each one by one in like a little circle that you can like look at, and it kind of just repeats that. That was pretty cool. I was discovering like art that I hadn't seen before or hadn't really looked at. A lot of like the Minotaur and Bear stuff was there. It was almost like you were looking at like propaganda art, I guess, thoughts that they were having at that time while making like the records. And the next place I would go to is a TV room with the national anthem. There's like TVs everywhere, and you can hear one part of that song throughout the whole thing. But whenever you go, there's like this little pillar in the middle. It almost kind of looks like ink kind of in the middle, or like sap or whatever. You go in it, you can hear another part of the song. Oh, what the heck? And then there's also in that room a phone booth, and you go in there and you can hear Tom singing whenever you pick the phone up. Oh, what the heck? On the TVs, obviously, there's like more of the art, the illustrations, and all that kind of stuff. So that room I thought was also really cool and really different, because the other rooms, you hear the song, but you don't really hear the individual or like different groups out of context from one another, which I thought was, you know, you don't really hear that. So I thought that was really cool. And there's another room. I don't even know what the room is called. Like, this is why this map thing is like super confusing and doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I just go to this random room. It almost looks like a club, kind of, a little bit. And again, just like the national anthem room, you can go into different parts of the room and it'll play a different part of the song. Also, like the visuals for it were really cool. It would be like a different light, and it would play a different part of that song. It would be like the singing only, and then you would go back and you would hear little drums and all that kind of stuff, and then you go back into another light, and then it would just be like synths or just bass or whatever, which was really cool. And like the lights for it were really sick. I thought it was really cool. So that was that room. Like I said, all the doors kind of just lead back to each other. The only other spot that I don't think I went to was that pyramid. So at that point, I get curious and I go to the pyramid. Whenever you first walk in, there's a really big giant minotaur. It looks like one of the minotaurs that were in little tubes in one of the parts of the museum. So I'm in there. It is super dark, and you can see different lines of color. There's in total 3 lines that you see. A red line to your left, green line like in front of you, and then a blue line to the right of you, I believe is at least what I saw. And so I decide to go to the green line. I didn't even know what it was, but it was an opening to another part of the museum. At this point, I don't even know what the names of the rooms are. I just don't. It takes you to like this, like a regular room, and then as soon as you get out of that room, there's coding all over like the room. You're in like this little office space with, maybe this is like one of like the art rooms or whatever, where they were making some of the art, or they were like writing some of the songs maybe. And you can see a bunch of other books or like paper. There's this little thing that just looks like old machines, and there's barely like any floor. Like the floor under you is like transparent, like you can kind of just see like more coating from like the walls. But you're going across the room and there's different parts of like this little office space kind of where you can hear this song kind of isolated in like different spots, which was really cool. But yeah, so there was that, and I thought that was really cool. And after that first recording, I was pretty surprised by how this was. I didn't really expect what I was expecting. But after the green room leads that red line would have led to. Whenever you enter one of these rooms, it just leads to one of the rooms in the pyramid. You're not back in the pyramid, you're just teleporting all the way into one of the rooms. The room that it chose was the one that was the red one. So right off the bat, it is probably the darkest room in the entire museum, and you're walking on tile almost, kind of, and then you enter like, not garage, but it almost kind of looks like a garage. You can obviously see like this picture behind it as you're walking, and at the bottom of the room it shows you what songs are going to play. And at this point, obviously, I'm not really expecting anything crazier than what I just saw, because I already thought like, wow, this is really good. As you see those words on the ground, you can walk off of that little platform and you're like immediately floating, like in the air. You're just floating. The song How to Disappear completely begins playing, and I swear, dude, that song, oh man, it's so different. And that image that you see, that you finally are able to see, all of the pixels are just kind of going out towards you almost. You can like walk into it. Obviously, it's not really going towards you, but you're walking to it. The image is going away and you're walking towards it. The pixels are coming at you and the song's playing. It's almost like a metaphor for the song, almost, because it's like you can just see everything going away. The visuals for this song, the lyrics made sense a little more, and you were able to interpret the song in a way that made a little more sense. And obviously, you can have your own meaning to a song. I know I do. And immediately, next song that plays is Pyramid Songs, which is almost, I would say, sadder than that song. And I'm just like, I didn't think I would get any more emotional than I did, and then I did. It's probably one of Radiohead's like best songs ever. And the visual for that is really weird. Whenever that happens, it's almost like this wave of just like the pixels kind of like dim and like kind of hit you right in the face. It's almost like you're underwater. That's what it looked like to me. It almost looked like you were underwater. You're floating down. Once the visual for Pyramid Songs comes up, it's like this little funnel of like red. This whole thing's red, and it's kind of just like not consuming you, but it's like enclosing on you. The images are kind of floating around. Some of it's changing. From the top and the bottom, there's, like I said, like funnel kind of things, like kind of enclosing each other. And as it gets closer to each other, one like little beat drop from Pyramid Song ends up playing, where the drum comes in and it starts doing whatever it does. It was really cool. It almost kind of reminds me of that one scene from the end of Evangelion where Rey turns into the thing and then is like sucking all of the life from the earth. That's kind of what that looked like. So that song ends. Again, it's kind of just like the same thing. The funnels end up going away. It ends up kind of folding out, right? So that happens. And now at this point, I only saw How to Disappear completely and then Pyramid Song. I didn't really look at like the very last song because I was just like, holy shit, two of my favorite songs are just like right there. I can't wait. And it gets to the next song. I listen to this song like probably every day also. I wouldn't say that, at least before this experience, I liked it as much as the other ones, but I mean, it's a good song. And then that plays. Immediately when that plays, you're on the floor, like this little like glass tile floor, and that's completely black and it's glassy, so you can see like reflection of light. There's this light like right in the middle, and you can see the minotaurs all around in a circle, just kind of like, I don't even know if it's dancing, almost like crying, but dancing all around in a circle. As the song goes on, you can see the minotaurs get bigger. This was just crazy. crazy. I didn't think that this would be the visual that gets me, especially with this song. As the beat drops for that song, the minotaurs grow. Like, you see like this whole thing of the minotaurs just kind of like get bigger. Like, I was just sitting there like, what the fuck am I watching? And you see minotaurs just kind of floating up, and like it was almost like they're like burning, kind of almost like they're just like moving in a way that looks like they're like on fire. There's like more and more and more. That even made me appreciate the song like way more than I already did, and it gave an extremely good visual. I can like look at the lyrics and be like, oh, that's what that is, and that's what's going on there. And like just the storytelling in that song in general was just really good. In my opinion, I think it was my favorite visual in the whole game. I really liked it. And, you know, the song ends, the minotaurs kind of go away, and the next room that I go into is like spinning plates, and it's just a beautiful song. The visual for it isn't really anything crazy. It's kind of just like a blue room, and there's like spikes going fucking everywhere as the song's going. So that was really cool. I finish like spinning plates, and I'm in the pyramid again. And so I think it looked different, mainly because whenever I got back in the pyramid, there's this elevator inside of the pyramid. I go on the elevator, obviously, because I'm like, oh, okay, there's more. So you get out of the elevator, and you're in like this rotating staircase, and all of the art pieces are on it, and as you go around, it's like this endless circle, and the art pieces end up kind of changing, and you have rooms on the bottom part of the rotating room, and then one on the top, and one of them I think led to somewhere where I already was. So I went to a different room that I hadn't seen. You walk into this little area, and you see a bunch of just bears, like the Radiohead bears, just like everywhere, looking at the cover art of Kid A. And obviously like that art piece with all the songs, they kind of talk about how they talk about global warming and like a bunch of that kind of stuff. The ice is melting, and I guess the bears are kind of just looking at that like, holy shit, like shit's on fire right now. And you're kind of just looking around, and all these bears are either like crying or they're kind of just looking at it. And as you go to that little wall that's like covering the art, it kind of goes out a little bit deeper so that you're not looking at a wall, you're kind of looking at it as it's like a circle, I guess, or like a globe kind of. And yeah, so there was that. The next room has I think motion picture soundtrack. You see one of the art pieces that you first see whenever you walk into the museum to begin with, which is dude that looks like he's gonna kill all the bears, and there's a stairway to your left, and you kind of just walk up it, and again it's kind of just like the first part, or like that first little entryway that you enter from, and there's just more of like that art just across the wall, and like illustrations and like drawings everywhere, with more of like kind of like the propaganda art, and like all of like the minotaurs and bears and writing and all kinds of weird shit across the walls. You see a stand above, and you see the entire like Kid A kind of art, and it's like 3D obviously. So that's happening, and then that's whenever you get out into like this third person kind of view, and you see yourself as like one of the minotaurs. Whoa, what the heck? And you're on like this ledge, and you're walking across this path. You go in, you're on like this little like, I don't know, I guess what window cleaners use to get up and down on buildings, kind of, I guess. I don't know what you call that. So you get up on that, and then you enter the room in the building, and it kind of just ends there. You go into this other room similar to the room that's like How to Disappear Completely. Tile is all black, and the room's kind of all black, and it's like this glassy looking texture to the floor, and then you see all like the credits and people who made the game. And as you walk past that, you go back into the forest, and you see like a bunch of the bears out there like waving at you, doing whatever, and you're back to kind of like where you started in that forest. And like there's a bunch of bears out in the forest this time, which I thought was really cool. Whenever you go back to that door that you first enter, there's a bear on top of the door, which I thought was really cool. And honestly, it was a pretty good ending to, or like a good like farewell. And you get like this little happy little thing with all the bears kind of like looking at you like, holy fuck, you did it, good job, or whatever they're doing. I don't know what they're thinking. It was really cool to kind of see that and get that little end to the game. I haven't played a game that's ever been like this ever, so I thought this was really sick, to be honest, and I recommend it to anyone that decides they want to play this after seeing this video. And if you have already played the game, I mean, obviously give yourself some time, but it's worth revisiting, especially for that like pyramid part of the museum. I really love that part. It's just really cool to kind of just see visuals for some of the songs that you really like, and just the art that goes along with those songs is just really cool. I love the band. That's why I even wanted to make a video on this. They just mean so much to me. Yeah. That's just kind of it. That was the end of the whole thing. If you watched the video all the way through, I appreciate it a bunch. That's kind of the end of the video. I don't really know where else I want to go with this. I'm just kind of talking at this point. If you enjoy the videos, kind of like at least the sit down and talk videos that I do, where I'm like talking into the microphone, let me know in the comments or just leave a like. Just like at the beginning of the video, just please leave a like, please. That'd be great. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Peace.